Eli stepped off the small shuttle and onto the bustling marketplace of Zephora. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices and strange metallic tangs. Merchants from dozens of worlds shouted over one another, selling goods that Eli could barely begin to understand. He had traveled light, just a backpack, a few trading credits, and his old toolkit. But his curiosity always outweighed caution. "Careful, human," shouted a vendor as Eli stepped too close to a display of glowing crystals. Eli jumped back, almost knocking over a floating cart of shimmering spheres. He laughed nervously. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Before he could finish, a small device in his hand which he had been tinkering with began to emit a strange hum. Eli had bought it thinking it was a simple communication tool, but it clearly wasn't. The hum grew louder until the crystals around him began to levitate slightly. "Ah, the ritual begins," someone shouted. Eli spun around and saw dozens of aliens looking at him with wide eyes. They wore colorful robes and jewelry, some glowing faintly in patterns he didn't recognize. One of them, taller than the rest with radiant blue skin and golden markings, stepped forward. "You, human," the alien said, her voice melodic but firm. "You have been chosen. The queen awaits her consort." Eli froze. "Wait, what? Consort chosen? I think you have the wrong guy." But the alien attendants ignored him. They gestured for him to follow. Confused and trying to be polite, Eli allowed himself to be led through a crowd of cheering aliens. Whispers followed him, and he caught fragments of words like honor, tradition, and bond. At the center of the marketplace, a large platform had been prepared. Flowers he had never seen before hung from glowing arches. Instruments that produced music without visible players began to play a harmonious melody. And there she was, the queen. Lyra stood tall, her form elegant and commanding. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver, and her eyes were the deep violet of distant nebulae. Her presence alone silenced the crowd. Eli felt his knees weaken. He had never seen anything like her. "You have been chosen to take the sacred vow," the high priest announced. "The bond is made by gesture. Offer the drink of your world to the queen and the bond shall be sealed." Eli glanced down at the small vial in his hand. He had picked it up from a market stall earlier. It was some kind of fermented fruit drink from his planet. He had no idea it was part of any ritual. I don't think this is what you think it is," Eli began, but before he could finish, he raised the vial out of nervous habit and offered it to Lyra. The crowd gasped. The high priest's eyes widened. Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "The bond is sealed," she said softly. Eli blinked. "Bond sealed? Wait, I didn't—" The crowd erupted in cheers. Confetti-like particles floated in the air, and lights danced across the platform. Eli's heart pounded. He was supposed to just buy a rare crystal and leave. Now he was apparently the husband of an alien queen. "Wait, I can explain," Eli shouted. But the aliens continued their celebration around him. Lyra extended a hand toward him, and the attendants gently guided him to her side. He felt like a statue, frozen and unsure what to do. "You must stay calm," one of the attendants whispered in a language Eli vaguely understood. "It is tradition. You cannot refuse now." Eli nodded slowly, though his mind raced. How could he explain that this was an accident? That he had no idea he was participating in a wedding? That he wasn't even ready to leave his planet, let alone marry an alien queen? Lyra studied him carefully. She didn't look angry or disappointed. If anything, she looked intrigued. Her eyes seemed to see right through him, as if she could tell his thoughts even before he had them. "You are nervous," she said softly. Her voice was like music. "Do not fear. The bond will not harm you. You only need to respect it until you understand our ways." Eli swallowed hard. I respect you. I didn't mean to do this. It was an accident." Lyra tilted her head, a small smile playing on her lips. Accidents can sometimes bring the greatest change. "Perhaps this is not entirely a misfortune, human Eli." Eli's jaw dropped. She knew his name? He hadn't introduced himself. "The high priest read your essence," one of the attendants explained. "All chosen consorts are identified before the ritual. You were recognized as suitable." Eli felt a cold shiver. Suitable? He was barely suitable to repair a shuttle engine. He certainly didn't feel like someone worthy of standing beside a queen. The ceremony continued, though Eli remained in a haze. The high priest recited ancient words in a language he couldn't understand, and Lyra performed the intricate gestures of the ritual. The crowd's excitement grew with each step. Eli did his best to mirror her gestures, feeling awkward and clumsy. After what felt like hours, the ceremony concluded. The crowd cheered again, and attendants guided Eli to a separate chamber, where he could rest before being escorted to the royal palace. Eli sank onto a cushioned seat, exhausted. He ran a hand through his hair. I can't believe this is happening. I just wanted to trade crystals, and now I'm married to an alien queen. An attendant approached with a small tray of food and drink. You must eat, consort. The journey to the palace is long, and you will need strength. Eli took a bite of the unfamiliar food. The flavors were strange but delicious. He felt slightly better, though the weight of the situation pressed down on him. Can someone tell me how to not mess this up? He muttered. The attendant smiled. Simply follow her lead, respect her customs, and listen. You will learn quickly. The queen is wise, and she will guide you. Eli nodded, feeling a mix of awe and anxiety. He glanced out the window of the chamber, where the marketplace continued its chaotic life. Merchants shouted, creatures of all shapes moved through the crowd, and somewhere far off a shuttle lifted into the sky. He wondered if he would ever see his planet again. That evening, he was escorted to Lyra's starship, a magnificent vessel that seemed almost alive. Its walls pulsed with soft light, and the corridors adjusted subtly as if sensing the people moving through them. Eli's eyes widened. He had worked on starships before, but nothing like this. Lyra walked beside him, her presence calm and reassuring. Do not fear, Eli, you will adapt. You have already survived the first trial. What trial? Eli asked, still trying to wrap his head around everything. The first trial of marriage, Lyra said with a faint smile. The test of courage, respect, and honesty. You have passed, though unknowingly. There will be more challenges ahead, and how you face them will determine the life you lead here. Eli swallowed hard. Challenges. Life. Here. He realized this was not a temporary accident, at least not until he learned how to navigate alien society, and even then he felt a strange pull in his chest whenever he looked at Lyra. She was different from anyone he had ever met. Strong, beautiful, commanding, but also kind, intelligent, intriguing. As he settled into his quarters, Eli stared out at the stars. 1,000 questions filled his mind. How had this happened? How would he survive palace life? Would he ever return home? Eli awoke to soft, glowing light that filled his quarters. The walls pulsed gently, almost like they were breathing. He sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes. The previous day's events, the accidental wedding, the ceremony, the crowd of aliens, felt like a dream. Yet the strange objects around him and the faint hum in the walls reminded him that it was all real. A soft chime sounded and the door slid open. Lyra entered, her movements graceful and precise. She wore a simple robe, yet her presence filled the room with authority. Good morning, Eli, she said. Her voice was calm, yet it carried a weight that made him straighten in his seat. Good morning, Eli replied, still unsure how to address her properly. I guess I should thank you for, well, not, throwing me out yesterday. Lyra tilted her head and smiled faintly. You misunderstand, human. You were never in danger. It is our custom to honor tradition. You followed it, and that is sufficient. Eli nodded, though he still felt awkward. Right. Tradition. Got it. He paused, glancing around the room. So, what happens now? You will come with me, Lyra said. You will be introduced to the household and learn the responsibilities of your position. Do not fear. You will not be alone. Eli swallowed. Responsibilities. Position. He had never imagined such words would apply to him. He had been a simple trader on his home planet, more comfortable fixing engines than navigating alien politics. Yet here he was, apparently a royal consort. Lyra led him through a corridor that shifted subtly as they walked. Walls seemed to breathe, and faint bioluminescent patterns changed color as they moved. Eli's eyes widened in wonder. This ship, it's alive, isn't it? In a manner of speaking, Lyra replied. It responds to the needs of those aboard. It is a living vessel, as is the palace on our homeworld. You will learn to feel its rhythms in time. Eli nodded slowly, trying not to trip over his own feet. He realized that his human instincts were ill-equipped for this environment. He was clumsy, small, and uncertain, yet he had to adapt. They reached a large chamber where the household gathered. Aliens of many shapes and sizes bowed or nodded respectfully as Eli entered. Some whispered among themselves, Eli felt their scrutiny, but Lyra remained beside him, a silent anchor of confidence. "Humans are rare in our council," one of the attendants whispered to him. "Many doubt your worth. But the Queen has chosen to honor the bond. You must prove yourself." Eli nodded again. He felt a mix of fear and determination. Prove himself? How could he, a simple human, measure up to an alien queen and her sophisticated court? Lyra spoke to the assembled household. "This is Eli, my consort. He comes from a distant world, bringing new perspectives. He will learn our ways, and in time he will earn his place beside me." The chamber fell silent. Eli bowed awkwardly, unsure of the proper etiquette. Murmurs filled the room, and some elders raised their eyes in curiosity. Eli felt the weight of their gaze. He could almost feel them judging every movement, every word. After introductions, Lyra guided him to a series of lessons. They were not traditional lessons, Eli quickly discovered. One session involved navigating holographic simulations of diplomatic negotiations. Another required understanding alien social gestures, colors, and tones that conveyed emotion and intent. Eli struggled. His human logic was often at odds with alien custom. He accidentally offended one of the elders by gesturing incorrectly during a greeting. The elder's tentacle-like appendages quivered in apparent disapproval. Eli bowed immediately, mumbling apologies while Lyra placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Do not fear mistakes," she said. "Learning is part of the bond. Even the wisest make errors. What matters is your willingness to understand." Her calm words eased his anxiety. Eli realized that, for the first time, someone powerful was treating him not as an inferior but as an equal in potential. It was strange and thrilling. Days passed and Eli adapted slowly. He learned to navigate the palace corridors, which seemed to shift based on mood and activity. He learned to eat alien food without grimacing, though some dishes challenged his stomach. He learned to respond to greetings and gestures, though he still stumbled occasionally. Lyra remained patient, guiding him with a mixture of firmness and kindness. Occasionally, she would test him with small tasks, negotiating a trade deal simulation, identifying alien plant species, or assisting in starship maintenance. Eli's human ingenuity often surprised the household. He would see a problem that the aliens overlooked and offer solutions using logic and intuition. One afternoon, while repairing a minor fault in a chamber's environmental system, Eli caught a glimpse of admiration in Lyra's eyes. He froze. She was watching him quietly, not in judgment but in interest. For a moment, the bustling palace faded away, and it was just the two of them. "You have a curious mind," she said softly. "It is rare among my people. You may learn more quickly than you imagine." Eli felt a warmth spread through his chest. "Thank you, Your Majesty." "I mean Lyra," he corrected himself. I want to learn. I don't want to fail you or anyone here." Lyra nodded. "Then you will not fail. Courage and honesty carry more weight than perfection." Later, Eli walked through the palace gardens, a large atrium filled with plants that glowed softly and floated in gentle air currents. The beauty was breathtaking, but more than that, the serenity of the place helped him think. He realized he was no longer just a visitor. He had a role, a responsibility, a place. Yet the human part of him still feared the unknown. He missed his simple life, the streets of his home city, the smell of oil and engines, the quiet evenings beneath the sky of his homeworld. But he also felt something new, a sense of purpose. Perhaps fate had placed him here for a reason. That evening, he dined with Lyra formally for the first time. The table was circular and hovered slightly above the floor. The dishes were strange, some moving subtly on their own as if alive. Eli struggled to keep his composure. "You are improving," Lyra said. "Your manners and understanding grow each day." Eli blushed slightly. I hope so. I don't want to embarrass myself or you." Lyra smiled faintly. "Embarrassment is temporary. Knowledge and understanding endure. And you show promise. Not every human could adapt so quickly." Eli felt a mix of pride and disbelief. He was just a human, clumsy, ordinary, and far from royalty. Yet somehow he had managed to survive the first challenges. And Lyra's words gave him hope. Perhaps he could truly belong here. After dinner, Lyra guided him to a balcony overlooking the vast expanse of space. Stars stretched infinitely in all directions, and distant nebulae glimmered with colors he had never seen. The ship's gentle hum seemed to harmonize with the universe itself. Do you see now? Lyra asked. This is your life now, Eli. Not by accident alone, but by choice. You can shape it, as much as the stars shape themselves around the gravity of planets. Eli looked out at the cosmos, feeling the enormity of what she said. His life had changed in ways he could never have imagined. He had been an accidental participant in a wedding, yet he felt the stirrings of purpose, curiosity, and even something resembling. I think I understand, he said slowly. It won't be easy, but I want to try. The next morning, Eli awoke to a soft chime echoing through his quarters. Today was different. Today, he would meet the council. The council was composed of the most influential figures in Lyra's world, and their approval or disapproval could shape not just his life, but the future of alliances across the galaxy. Eli swallowed nervously as he followed Lyra through the living corridors of her palace. The walls pulsed faintly, adjusting as if guiding him along the path. He had learned to move with the ship's rhythm, but his human instinct still made him feel clumsy and out of place. The council will test you, Lyra said softly. They will assess your understanding of our customs, your judgment, and your ability to act under pressure. You must remain honest and courageous. That is all I ask. Eli nodded. Courage, honesty. Two simple words, yet he felt their weight. He had never been tested like this before. Back on his homeworld, his life had been quiet, trading goods, fixing machines, solving problems in small ways. But here, every decision had consequences that could ripple across worlds. The council chamber was vast, circular, and open to the sky above the palace. Bioluminescent vines climbed the walls, casting soft light across the council members. They were unlike anything Eli had seen. Some with elongated limbs, others with multiple eyes, and a few with wings that shimmered faintly. Each member regarded him carefully, studying his every move. Lyra guided him to a position beside her. Present yourself, she instructed. Eli took a deep breath. I am Eli, a human from a distant world. I am honored to be here, and I will do my best to understand and respect your ways. A ripple of whispers passed through the council. One elder, a creature with silver skin and 3 glowing eyes, spoke. Humans are fragile. How can one so small hold responsibility alongside a queen? Eli felt a flash of nervousness, but he straightened his posture. Fragile? Perhaps in appearance. But humans are clever, we adapt. We solve problems in ways that may not be obvious. I hope to show you that my mind is as capable as any here. The elder regarded him silently for a moment, then inclined his head slightly. Eli felt a small sense of relief. Perhaps he had made a good impression. The first test came quickly. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the chamber, depicting a nearby planet embroiled in conflict. Rival factions threatened to ignite war over resources. The council asked Eli to suggest a solution. He studied the projection carefully. Alien politics were complex, far more intricate than human disputes, but patterns were universal. Strategy, negotiation, understanding each side's desires, these principles were the same. My suggestion, Eli began, is to create a neutral trade agreement. Each faction will gain something they value while avoiding conflict. We can use resources as incentives, and representatives from my world can act as mediators. Communication is key. If they understand what they gain, they are less likely to fight. A murmur passed through the council. Eli glanced at Lyra. Her eyes were focused, assessing. She nodded slightly as if to encourage him. The silver-eyed elder spoke again. Your approach is logical, different yet effective. Human perspective offers clarity where tradition may obscure. Eli felt a surge of confidence. Perhaps he truly could contribute. The second challenge was more subtle. Council members asked questions about Lyra's recent decisions, testing his judgment. If he contradicted her, it could appear as disrespect. If he agreed blindly, he would seem unthinking. Eli listened carefully, observing Lyra's responses and the council's reactions. When asked how he would respond to a rival queen attempting to undermine Lyra's alliances, Eli answered cautiously. I would gather information first, then propose a peaceful solution that protects Lyra's interests. Open confrontation can escalate problems. Diplomacy, patience, and careful planning often succeed where force fails. The council seemed impressed. Eli realized that his human intuition, small, everyday problem-solving, could actually be valuable here. He was not just a guest. He was a participant. After the council session, Lyra guided him to a quieter part of the palace. "You did well," she said. "You acted with respect, intelligence, and courage. Not all humans would survive such scrutiny." Eli exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "Thank you, Lyra. I'm trying. I really am," she smiled faintly. "And that is why you have potential. Not everyone who enters my world adapts. Many falter under the weight of our customs. You show resilience." Eli smiled, though nerves still lingered. The next test, he sensed, would be far more personal. That evening, while walking through the palace gardens, Eli noticed subtle signs of a rival faction attempting to infiltrate the ship. Small drones hovered near the perimeter, and sensors indicated unusual energy signatures. Eli's heart raced. "We may have trouble," he said, turning to Lyra. "I think someone is trying to spy on the palace, or worse." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "You are correct. I suspected as much. These intrusions are minor now, but they could escalate. We must investigate carefully without provoking conflict prematurely." Eli felt a surge of determination. He had not been trained for espionage, yet he understood observation, analysis, and cautious action. He followed Lyra as she led him to a command room filled with alien consoles and holographic displays. "Observe," she instructed. "Learn our systems. See patterns and tell me what concerns you most." Eli studied the displays, tracking energy fluctuations and movement patterns. His human instincts for detail and logic allowed him to notice anomalies that even Lyra had overlooked. He pointed out a sequence of signals indicating a potential breach point. "Excellent," Lyra said. "Your perspective is valuable. We will act on this information." Together, they devised a strategy to secure the palace without alerting the intruders. Eli felt a thrill as he contributed meaningfully, realizing he was no longer just a passive participant in alien life. He was actively shaping events. Days passed, and Eli continued to adapt. He learned more about Lyra's people, their customs, their technology, their values. He began to see patterns in behavior and diplomacy. He noticed that Lyra trusted him more with each decision, and he began to trust her in return. One afternoon, while assisting in a repair of the palace's energy conduit, Eli overheard a conversation among council members. A rival faction planned to challenge Lyra's rule, believing that her human consort would be a weakness. Eli felt a rush of urgency. He approached Lyra immediately. "We need to act," he said. "They think I'm weak. We can't let them test us like that." Lyra regarded him calmly. "Your courage is noted. We will address this carefully. Your actions matter, Eli. Not as a human, but as my partner." Eli felt a warmth in his chest. Partner. He had not expected to hear those words, and yet they felt right. He realized that he no longer thought of himself as an accidental consort. The morning sun, or at least the pale violet light of Ziphora's star, streamed through the palace windows as Eli prepared for the day. Today was different. Today, he and Lyra would leave the safety of the palace to travel to the territory of a rival faction. The faction had been observing them closely, testing the strength of the human consort and the queen. Eli had spent days preparing, studying maps, understanding alien protocols, and coordinating with Lyra on possible scenarios. He adjusted the simple ceremonial attire he was expected to wear, feeling the soft, shimmering fabric brush against his skin. He still felt awkward in it, but he had grown more confident in his role. The palace corridors seemed to hum with anticipation, as if the ship itself knew that something important was about to happen. Lyra entered his quarters silently. Her presence was calm yet commanding as always. "Are you ready, Eli?" she asked. Eli nodded, though his stomach churned. "As ready as I'll ever be. I've gone over the maps and strategies, but I still feel like I'm walking into unknown territory." Lyra smiled faintly. "Unknown does not mean impossible. Trust in your mind and trust in me. We will face this together." Together they boarded a smaller vessel within the palace designed for quick travel and diplomacy. As the ship lifted into the violet sky, Eli gazed at the landscape below. The floating gardens, glowing rivers, and towering crystalline spires. He had walked these streets before, yet seeing them from above made him appreciate the beauty and complexity of Lyra's world even more. The journey was tense. Sensors indicated multiple patrols from the rival faction, and both Eli and Lyra maintained constant vigilance. Despite the tension, Eli felt a thrill. For the first time in his life, he was part of something larger than himself. Every decision he made could shape the outcome of a mission that spanned worlds. When they reached the rival territory, a city of sharp spires and flickering lights, they were greeted with cautious curiosity. Alien emissaries studied them, whispering among themselves. Eli could feel their judgment, their assessment of him as the human consort. He straightened, remembering Lyra's advice. Courage and honesty mattered more than appearances. The negotiation began in a grand chamber, its walls shimmering with light and strange patterns. Lyra spoke first, her voice calm but authoritative, presenting a proposal for a peaceful alliance and resource sharing. Eli watched closely, analyzing the reactions of the rival emissaries. Some eyes narrowed. Others shifted with intrigue. When the emissaries turned to Eli, expecting perhaps hesitation or confusion, he took a deep breath. "If I may," he said, "we can find a solution that benefits both sides. My world has experience in mediating conflicts, finding creative ways for resources to be shared without causing harm or resentment. Let us explore options together." The chamber fell silent. Eli's words were simple, yet they carried a confidence that surprised even him. Lyra glanced at him with approval, her eyes reflecting pride and subtle admiration. The emissaries whispered among themselves, clearly impressed by his perspective. The negotiation was interrupted by a subtle signal from their security team. An attempt to breach the perimeter had been detected. Eli felt his heart race. He and Lyra had to act quickly, yet avoid alarming the emissaries. "Follow me," Lyra said. They moved through hidden corridors in the chamber, guided by sensors and their own intuition. Eli's human instincts for problem-solving came into play. He suggested rerouting energy flows to seal access points temporarily, without anyone noticing. Lyra implemented his suggestion, and the intruders were thwarted silently. When the crisis passed, Lyra turned to him. "You acted decisively. Your mind is sharper than I expected." Eli felt a flush of pride. "I just tried to think of solutions. I didn't want to make things worse." "You prevented disaster," Lyra said. "That is more than most could do." The rest of the day was spent finalizing agreements and ensuring that both sides understood the benefits of collaboration. Eli contributed where he could, offering insights that the aliens had not considered. His human perspective, once thought a weakness, had become an asset. As the day ended, Lyra and Eli returned to the palace. The journey had been successful, yet the events left Eli exhausted. He wandered through the palace gardens, letting the soft glow of the plants soothe his mind. Lyra joined him quietly. "You performed admirably today," she said. "Not just in strategy, but in composure. You have shown courage, insight, and respect." Eli laughed softly, shaking his head. "I'm still just me. I don't know if I can ever fully belong here." Lyra's eyes softened. "Belonging is not given by place or title. It is earned by actions and heart. You have shown both. You are part of this world now, Eli, and perhaps part of my life in ways even you do not yet understand." Eli's chest tightened. Her words carried a weight he had not anticipated. He had begun to feel more than respect for Lyra, admiration, trust, even something deeper. But he pushed the thought aside, focusing on the immediate task of surviving and adapting to this extraordinary life. Over the next few days, Eli continued to learn. He practiced protocols, studied alien languages, and observed political dynamics within the palace. Each lesson reinforced his understanding that diplomacy, courage, and patience were as important as intelligence. One afternoon, he discovered a subtle plot against Lyra. Certain council members from her inner circle were attempting to manipulate decisions for their own gain, hoping that the human consort might falter and be blamed. Eli realized the delicate position he occupied. Any misstep could weaken Lyra's authority or his own place in the palace. He approached Lyra with caution. "I've noticed unusual alignments in council decisions. Some members may be plotting to exploit me or us." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "You are perceptive. Many overlook subtle signs, but you notice them. That is why you are valuable. Together we will address this." They devised a plan to confront the manipulators without creating conflict. Eli suggested strategies that balanced human logic with alien custom. Lyra implemented them seamlessly, demonstrating trust in his judgment. The scheme was neutralized and the palace remained stable. That night, Eli found himself once again on the balcony, staring at the endless expanse of stars. He reflected on how far he had come. Just a few weeks ago, he had been an ordinary human, clumsy and uncertain, accidentally thrust into an alien wedding. Now he was navigating politics, averting threats, and contributing meaningfully to decisions that shaped entire worlds. Lyra joined him silently, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You have grown," she said softly, "not just in skill but in courage and wisdom. You are no longer merely a guest or a consort. You are a partner." Eli swallowed hard. "A partner? You really mean that?" Lyra's eyes held his. "Yes, you have proven that your heart and mind can match the challenges you face. That is why I trust you. That is why others will learn to trust you too." Eli felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. The human part of him still feared failure, but the other part, the part that had embraced the unknown, felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this accidental marriage was not a misfortune at all. Perhaps it was the beginning of something extraordinary. As he looked at Lyra, standing strong and calm beside him, Eli realized that he no longer wanted to escape. He wanted to face the challenges, explore the mysteries of this world, and grow alongside her. He wanted to earn not just respect but connection. For the first time, Eli understood that courage was not just about bravery in battle or cleverness in thought. Courage was about trusting oneself, trusting others, and stepping forward into the unknown, even when the stakes were higher than anything he had ever imagined. And with Lyra by his side, he felt ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at him next. The palace hummed with quiet energy as Eli prepared for the council meeting that would decide the fate of his position. Today, a council member, an elder with long silver tendrils and sharp, calculating eyes, planned to challenge the marriage publicly. They claimed tradition had been broken and that a human could not rightfully serve as consort to the queen. Eli felt the familiar swirl of anxiety. For weeks he had grown into his role, earning respect from the council and proving his value in diplomacy and strategy. Yet now, the past, his accidental wedding, threatened to undermine everything. Lyra appeared at his side, calm as ever. Her presence was steadying, like a lighthouse in a storm. "Do not fear, Eli," she said. "Your actions, your courage, and your honesty speak louder than tradition alone. You have already earned your place." Eli nodded, taking a deep breath. He had spent countless hours preparing for this. His human intuition had guided him through alien politics before. Now it would be tested in the most direct way. The council chamber was packed. Aliens of all shapes and colors filled the room, some whispering nervously, others watching Eli with curiosity. The silver-eyed elder stepped forward, voice echoing in the chamber. "Your Majesty," the elder began, "the traditions of our people have been violated. The consort you claim, this human, was not properly chosen. Therefore his position is invalid. We must annul this union to preserve our customs." A murmur ran through the chamber. Eli's heart raced. He glanced at Lyra. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held intensity. She trusted him. Eli stepped forward, standing taller than he felt. "Elder," he said, his voice steady, "I understand your concerns. I am not from this world. I was an accidental participant in the ceremony. Yet, since that day, I have learned your ways, observed your customs, and contributed to your world in ways I did not expect." The council members turned their eyes on him, some skeptical, some intrigued. Eli continued, "I have acted with respect, honesty, and courage. I have helped resolve conflicts, prevented threats, and assisted the queen in her duties. If tradition is meant to protect the stability of your world, then my actions uphold it. I ask not for indulgence, but for recognition of what I have done, not only what I am by accident." The chamber fell silent. Eli's words were simple, yet they carried a clarity that resonated. Lyra's gaze softened as she stepped forward. "He has proven himself," Lyra said, her voice firm, echoing through the chamber. "Not by accident, but by choice, courage, and intellect. He has learned our ways and acted in ways that serve our people. That is the measure of a consort, not the circumstances of a wedding." The silver-eyed elder hesitated, his tendrils quivering. Other council members whispered among themselves. Eli could feel the tension, the weight of history and tradition pressing down. Yet he remained calm, recalling Lyra's guidance. Honesty and courage above all. "I see now," the elder said slowly, "that actions speak louder than ceremony. If the human has demonstrated loyalty, understanding, and wisdom, perhaps our customs should reflect merit as well as tradition." Eli felt a surge of relief. He had not only defended himself, but he had shown the council that he was more than an accident. He was a participant, a partner, and someone who could contribute meaningfully to the future. The council convened a vote. Hands, claws, and appendages were raised, and murmurs filled the chamber. When the results were announced, Eli realized with astonishment that the majority supported him. The human consort was officially recognized. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting pride and something deeper. "You have done well, Eli," she said quietly. "Not because of your birth, not because of the ceremony, but because of who you are." Eli felt a warmth in his chest, a mix of relief and pride. "Thank you, Lyra. I couldn't have done it without your guidance." She tilted her head, a small smile playing on her lips. "Guidance is part of partnership, and you have become a true partner." The tension in the chamber lifted. Eli realized that this was more than just a political victory. It was a confirmation of his place in Lyra's life and in her world. He had earned respect not by being human, not by accident, but by courage, intelligence, and honesty. The days that followed were filled with celebration and adjustment. Eli continued to learn, but now he did so with confidence. He participated in strategic discussions, guided minor diplomatic missions, and even helped to design improvements to the palace systems using his human problem-solving skills. Lyra's people had begun to respect him, and he felt more at home than he had imagined possible. One evening, as Eli and Lyra walked through the palace gardens, he finally allowed himself to voice a thought he had been holding back. "Lyra," he said hesitantly, I never expected any of this. I didn't even know your world existed until I arrived. And now I feel like I belong here, with you, and with your people. I never imagined it would feel right." Lyra studied him, her eyes deep and violet. "Belonging is not always about circumstance, Eli. It is about trust, respect, and shared purpose. You have shown all three. You belong here and you belong with me if you choose." Eli's heart raced. He had grown to admire her courage, wisdom, and strength. But admiration had transformed into something deeper. He realized that he had feelings for Lyra, feelings that went beyond respect or gratitude. I choose," he said finally, his voice steady. "I want to be here, by your side, not just as a consort, but as your partner. I want to face whatever comes next, together." Lyra's lips curved into a soft smile. "Then our bond is more than ceremony or tradition. It is chosen by both of us, with intention and understanding." The palace around them seemed to pulse with quiet approval, as if the living walls themselves recognized the significance of the moment. Eli felt a sense of peace he had never known. For the first time, he understood that accidents could lead to destiny. In the weeks that followed, Eli and Lyra continued to strengthen their partnership. He learned more about her people, their history, and their technology. He shared human perspectives, helping to solve problems that had stumped even experienced alien advisors. Together, they faced challenges from neighboring factions, natural disasters, and political dilemmas. Each success reinforced Eli's confidence and deepened the bond between him and Lyra. One day, while walking through the palace atrium, Eli noticed a young alien child observing him curiously. The child asked questions about his homeworld, his habits, and his tools. Eli smiled, realizing that he could inspire curiosity and understanding among Lyra's people. He explained things simply, using examples they could relate to, and the child's eyes lit with wonder. Lyra watched quietly from a distance. "You have a way of connecting," she said softly. "That is